Strange world, there has never been a time when a mediocre tyrant could destroy life on the entire planet. Never. And once again, as the immortal Chernobylites put it, the emperors of Rome, Genghis Khan, Napoleon, Nebuchadnezzar, did not possess a fraction of the power of today's general secretary, or the helmsman of all Russia, or the Ayatollah, or the Great Korean Bubble. How do you deal with those for whom blackmail is the only way to hold on to power? That's exactly what we'll talk about in the next 20 minutes, and I think you'll understand what's happening in the Middle East. Most importantly, how things changed after Trump and Bibiyev's brief meeting. Mar-a-Lago, Iran is testing warheads equipped with chemical and biological agents, or rather, not yet equipped, but at least prepared so that they can be loaded with them. It seems that this is exactly what convinced United States President Trump to announce a strike on Iran. It's only a matter of time. If it doesn't exist anymore, the only question is when.
The countdown to a strike on Iran began after reports that the Ayatollah regime is trying to create unconventional warheads for its missiles, capable of carrying chemical as well as biological weapons.
Now let's imagine that Iran launches 1,000 ballistic missiles toward Jerusalem and Tel Aviv. As we already know, the Israeli defense system can't stop everything when a lot comes in at once. Even if 90 missiles don't make it, there will still be 100 warheads with chemical and biological weaponry. And the next day, hospitals are overcrowded with people who have fallen ill from viruses and microorganisms, from biological weapons, and from toxins that disrupt the nervous system, respiratory system, circulatory system, and other bodily systems. For example, there's Novichok. The Russians will certainly provide it. They cause convulsions and respiratory paralysis. Mustard gas causes eye damage and burns. Phosgene makes a person literally suffocate. The cloud of contaminated air created by the explosion settles over the city. Now imagine 100 such explosions, and with minimal destruction of buildings, people die in huge numbers.
It seems that the United States is once again preparing to strike Iran after Operation Midnight Hammer, which took place this summer during the Israeli-Iranian wars. President Trump has made it clear in his various statements that the United States is more than ready to strike Iran.
It is possible that Iran is also trying to restore its nuclear weapons program, but at the moment, the United States and Israel are concerned. Their long-range missile program,
it's actually their ballistic missile program. If Iran acquired nuclear weapons, it would immediately become its main deterrent. Currently, it's Iran's ballistic missile program. Iran has one of the world's most advanced programs with missiles that can reach the entire Middle East. They can easily target Israel, and that's exactly what they've always relied on as their deterrent in the region against Israel.
In the 12-day war, Iran emptied its stockpiles of outdated, let's call them that, missiles. And now they're producing missiles that fly faster and are much harder to intercept.
This is from Public Broadcasting Service. It says that during the war, Iran launched 574 ballistic missiles at Israel. The Washington Jewish Institute for National Security of America, linked to the Israeli military, reported Iran fired about 330 missiles in 2 pre-war skirmishes. The Israeli military estimated Iran had about 2,500 missiles, so over a third were launched before the war. Iran was on track to produce more than 200 solid-fuel missiles per month, said Carl Parkin, a summer research fellow at the James Martin Center, who cited Israeli strikes on missile production facilities. I think what they're building up comes from Iran Intel or Iran International. It says that the Iranian Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps is developing biological and chemical warheads for long-range ballistic missiles. Countries and foreign military sources told Iran International on Sunday. The IRGC aerospace forces are developing unconventional warheads for ballistic missiles, moving the launchers to the eastern regions of Iran.
So this is not an Israeli fabrication. It is also confirmed by American intelligence. That's why Bibi urgently flew to Mar-a-Lago, That's why there were brief business talks, a 2-hour conversation with Trump, and that's why there was determination in Trump's voice.
If they continue,
Yes.
yes, rockets, nuclear, quickly, all right. One will say yes, absolutely, and the other said we will do it immediately.
So President Donald Trump states that if Iran continues to build ballistic missiles, which they are doing, there's no doubt they're doing it, that we will bomb them or the Israelis will bomb them.
Don't forget, we were able to carry out this plan by neutralizing Iran and talking about Iran. I really hope they're not trying to build up their capabilities again, because if that happens, we will have no choice but to very quickly eliminate that buildup.
Israel doesn't have heavy bombers, and they don't have 2 to 15-ton bombs to reach the Iranian factories built into the mountains. Iran has missiles that can hit targets at distances from 1,300 kilometers up to 2,000 kilometers. But this year, Iran started producing the Hajj Qassam missile, which can fly 1,000 to 1,300 kilometers, but at Mach 12 speed, which means 13,000 kilometers per hour. Or to make it clear, that's 216 kilometers per minute. Well, it's not very easy to intercept something moving at 216 kilometers per minute. And now let's take an even broader look. Let's say Iran and Israel start military actions, and the United States sends in its fleet again and helps Israel. Iran can't shoot at the United States, but it can target American bases in the region, meaning Iran will be able to reach and strike United States military bases. Let's say in Iraq, Qatar, Bahrain, Kuwait, the Emirates, and Saudi Arabia, they are all within about 1,500 at most 2,000 kilometers from Iran. In addition, Iran can block the movement of commercial and oil ships in the Strait of Hormuz, and this is probably the most tense, a huge artery of the world in terms of oil transportation. Before solving the Iran problem, the world needs to get rid of Hamas, which is like a thorn preventing progress toward pacifying Gaza.
In Jerusalem. Security officials warn that without the complete and final dismantling of Hamas as a military organization and military force, as well as a ruling government, without fully demilitarizing all Gaza Strip infrastructure, another mass massacre will only be a matter of time. Meanwhile, the world is beginning to unite around the statement that President Trump made yesterday, saying that if Hamas does not disarm, it will be terrible for them, since 59 countries want to destroy Hamas. Because that's right.
The Trump-Netanyahu meeting at Mar-a-Lago was more than a typical photo op. It wasn't just for show or to seem like progress. It was another important step in the process of rebuilding, reshuffling, and restructuring the balance of power in the Middle East, with a strong emphasis on launching dramatic changes that will take place even before the new year. Yes, you understood me correctly. Israeli media report that major announcements are expected in the next 2 days. Before the end of this year, before 2025 is over, it's on the agenda. Undoubtedly, the most important topic is what will happen in the Gaza Strip, and of course, the issue of eliminating Hamas. President Trump is making quite bold statements at this meeting, saying that he expects very rapid or even swift changes in the Gaza Strip, especially regarding the disarmament of the Hamas organization.
Understanding that Hamas is hindering the development of the entire plan to reshape the Middle East. It seems that Bibi and Trump have agreed on an operation literally in the coming days, possibly within January. Or, well, I don't know, maybe even in the first couple of weeks of January, to cleanse Gaza of this scourge and launch the second phase of Trump's plan, simultaneously disarming Hezbollah, and then, with another strike, put an end to Ayatollah's ambitions of fueling religious wars around the world.
But the conversation between Trump and Netanyahu doesn't start or end with Gaza. It's about a regional shift. An important issue on the agenda is Lebanon.
Trump and Netanyahu don't want a truce. They want to make sure the war doesn't return. As usual, it returns in 3 to 5 years. They want to completely change the political map of the region. Syria is under the control of Turkey. Trump wants to bring Netanyahu and Erdogan together to normalize relations. Lebanon needs to be kicked out to Hezbollah, and eventually they'll get to the Houthis too. Well, as I understand it, first the CIA is working with Iran, and the population of Iran has long been tired of all the shouting, kill these, kill those. Farsi. Persians are actually reasonable, not very aggressive people. The many years of recent Islamization have seriously made them nervous, but there was no help for them to believe that, for example, their uprising could change anything. But over the last 4 or 5 days, the situation has changed. The other is not Yuza-2. It should be established.
Unfortunately, a dark night has fallen for the Iranian people as the thugs of the Islamic Republic and Islamic forces have already begun the mass killing of protesters. The uprising now has reached the level of a civil war.
That is, these are no longer protest demonstrations. This is already at the level of, well, almost a civil war. I wonder which side the army supports.
Subtitles by Dimitrorzak. Subtitle editor A. Semkin. Proofreader A. Yegorova.
So, while this is happening, the regime, the Islamic regime, their security forces have now opened fire. Khamenei is a murderer. His regime is illegitimate.
These are footage from various cities in Iran. Someone raised the whole country at once, right under the nose of the secret services. By the way, this is happening. Well, despite the fact that demonstrators are being grabbed, taken somewhere, and no one ever sees them again. People know what to expect from the regime, but they have hope now that someone will help them, that someone will come to their aid. Well, yes, that very same, let's say, terrible policeman who for some reason flies around the world with a baton and helps people. And then people say that he does it pursuing his own interests, and in general, that he is obligated to do it. So whether he promised something to someone or not, that's how people understood it. And now he's obligated. On this matter, I'm not talking about China, not even about Russia, not even in Ukraine. Who could that be? Congrats, I ran into it. What follows? Maybe the United States of America, terrible, nasty, greedy, and sensitive America. I think that's exactly who it is. Here's what ordinary Iranians write on Tusi television who are in exile, meaning not in Iran itself.
The people must free themselves. A new chapter is coming and the government can't stop it. It's nearly complete. God bless. Yes, they need to keep going if they want to be free.
Maybe we're working from both sides. I mean, the CIA and Mossad from the inside, and the Israel Defense Forces and the United States Army are preparing for the second act. Let's call it that. In any case, I really hope that the Iranians won't have time to launch their missiles with biological and chemical warheads at Israel, and that traffic through Hormuz will continue peacefully. Veron began testing, on December 30th, he began testing ballistic missiles with strange warheads. I hope this, along with the fact that 2 tankers were seized, will push the United States and Israel toward their 3-phase operation. First Hamas, then Lebanon and Hezbollah, and then the Houthis in Iran. And possibly by the spring of 2026, the Middle East will have a predictable, planned, peaceful life without constant killings, wars, explosions, and threats. Drown a whole country in blood. You can probably guess which one. The news that just came in means that several small towns in Iran are now in the hands of the rebels. There have been reports of the first deaths in shootouts, so there were shootouts, weapons appeared from somewhere, and the internet in Iran has been blocked. In addition, the state television companies, well, they're the only ones broadcasting, and it seems that apart from them, no one else is working, nothing else is working. So footage and reports are coming through deep channels, through various means, or through the resistance network that's connected to the outside world. And that's why the government is nervous, because it doesn't have 100% control over the situation.
Let's get back to deep.
If the CIA and Mossad are involved in this, then that means there are some security forces, maybe the army or some other internal forces, who can oppose the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. In the country, they're called SIPA, meaning the Guard Corps. I don't believe in spontaneous riots happening at the same time in several cities, so in general, it's hard to get people out on the streets, and it requires organizing and preparing provocateurs. Well, here we call them community organizers, provocateurs. Money is also needed, but if all this isn't backed up by bayonets, by some kind of combat units, then it will end soon. I'm afraid of blood and serious injury. Besides, regimes are only afraid of riots and uprisings in the capitals, and everything else they can sort of suppress with tanks. So, out of sight, out of mind. So, another possibility is an attack by the United States and Israel on SIPA, well, on the guards, yes, to wipe out their main forces and give the rebels a chance to seize their barracks and weapons. But that's already kind of, well, I don't know. It happened too soon after Bibi's meeting with Trump, although it's possible the meeting took place after the operation had already started. Here's the final chord, the decision. Let's move forward. So if that was the starting point, then of course it's a long process. But if maybe it had been prepared for a long time and they just needed to decide to move forward, or are we still waiting then? Well, so to speak, anything can be expected. Maybe it's a long-running plan. We'll get an answer to this question very soon, of course, but I think the United States and Israel are still not ready for this operation. I don't know why I think so, but I do. Although,
tonight, as the world counts down to the new year, in the Middle East, we're counting down to the start of major changes. After the recent Trump-Netanyahu meeting at Mar-a-Lago in the United States, we heard statements that go beyond flashy headlines. They are a kind of roadmap, and the main question is whether this roadmap leads to peace or to a new war. Trump states that Hamas must be disarmed, that they have little time left, and otherwise, he warns, this will have terrible consequences for them. And another 59 countries will arrive to completely wipe out this terrorist organization from the Gaza Strip. But stop for a second. If Hamas must be disarmed, who will ensure this on the ground given the situation in Gaza? Who will enter the Gaza Strip? International forces, Turkey, Arab states. And if no one goes in, then what will happen? According to Belarus's plan, Gaza time. And at that very moment, Iran hears this and realizes that their time is also running out. Trump publicly states that if Iran tries to restore its nuclear or missile capabilities, support may be given for a new strike. There's no smoke without fire.
there's no smoke, said Yair Pinta, editor and host of the Israeli Trinity Broadcasting Network channel. There's no smoke without fire for all of us, for Israel, for the Middle East, and for the people of Iran. I really hope he's right that it has started and that it will spark a fire. In the past 12 hours, incredible events have taken place. In fact, in several cities, the police have sided with the rebels. So, you see, this is not the army yet, it's the police. But the police, they're not the Revolutionary Guard, not the SIPA. They're the people, the same people, just dressed in uniform, given weapons, and told to patrol. So, in several police stations and in organizations close to the Guard, weapons have been taken out. So, terrorist regimes always take weapons away from the population. So the rebels have to get them from somewhere in order to respond to the Guard's fire.
Bob.
The Shah's heir called on the people to rise up. In the western part of Iran, the headquarters of the Army Corps was set on fire. It started with inflation. People initially took to the streets because of inflation. And now it's the decline in living standards. And now, all over the country, people are shouting, "Death to Khomeini," not death to Israel, not death to America, but death to Khomeini.
And this has been happening for the 4th day in a row now, against the backdrop of unrest all over the country. So what caused all of this? In short, the economy is in a state of collapse. Iran's national currency has sharply depreciated, prices for basic food and fuel have risen significantly, and inflation is somewhere above 40. And what starts to happen? Truck drivers stop working, bazaar merchants close their shops, oil and transport workers go on strike, and students join them. And very quickly, it stops being just a matter of prices. And it starts sounding like this. Death to the dictator, we don't want an Islamic Republic. These are systemic level demands, and they echo what we heard in 2022 after the tragic death of Mahsa Amini. Calls for women's rights, for freedom, and for dignity. Many analysts are now saying that this could be the largest wave of protests since then, possibly even a new phase of anti-government unrest.
Could this be the beginning of the end for the regime? If there is no external assistance, then it's unlikely. I hope that there is still some external help. And I also hope that if any armed forces officially switch to the side of the rebels. By the way, Russia has already sent 5 cargo planes to Iran, loaded with something, either weapons or mercenaries. I don't know, planes. So if someone is helping the Iranians, meaning the rebels, it's those who want to drive Russia and China out of Iran and the Middle East. Who is that? Well, take a guess. You have 3 tries. In the meantime, we're waiting for good news, updates from Iran, Venezuela, and Gaza. Well, that's all, ladies and gentlemen. That's what we know for today. As soon as there's any more news, I'll be happy to share it with you, of course. And I wish all of you a very, very, very happy New Year.